Hi, African brothers and sisters from all over the world. Hope you are fine, you're doing well, and you're reconnecting with yourself. You're reconnecting with your essence, and you know where you're coming from and where you're going. Today, I want us to talk about two issues. One is being a Christian or being a person who subscribed to the foreign religions in Africa, and being an African spiritualist. Sort of comparing and contrasting the sense of where you cannot be, actually the topic is you cannot be a Christian and love yourself, or subscribe to any other religion and love yourself. And loving yourself is not just loving you, it's loving your ancestors. And there's a logic to it. And that's why many Christians don't love themselves, and they don't love other Africans. They look at other Africans as competitors, as enemies. They belong to different denominations, so that means they're enemies and blah blah blah, and the list goes on and on and on. Now, if you were to talk about the ancestors, that's actually a no-go area, because Christianity teaches us that our ancestors were evil people. So that means they were devilish, they were satanic, they worshipped idols. That's the story that you hear a lot when you hear Christians talking about their grandparents, their parents, their grandparents, their great-grandparents, their great-great-grandparents, and the list goes on. Do the math. I've made a recording on doing the math and going back, way back. So they tell us all these people, they were cultists. They were satanic. They were evil men and evil women. And so it's impossible for you to be to be a Christian and at the same time love yourself, love your people who look like you. It's almost and this explains when you look at in Africa. I'm talking about particularly Africa. Africa is my concern. It's my concern because I'm African, and I see the destruction. As a theologian, as a former Christian ex-minister, ordained minister, I see the destruction upon our wonderful continent and our people. This is and it does not even make sense. It doesn't make sense because we have allowed over the years, and I don't want to blame our ancestors. We can point fingers at them, because this one time I was asking myself, why do they allow these people to come in and spread this message? And it boiled down to tolerance, how accepting they were. And I spoke on one of the videos, one of the recordings where I mentioned South Africans calling other Africans foreigners, and they didn't. Our ancestors didn't have that word. They never called other Africans foreigners. They used to call them, if I can translate from my own dialect, people who had come to visit. Right? They were visitors. And they had a very interesting outlook of whenever someone came, especially from a different tribe or for a different region, they almost instantly they spoke of that person as being sent by God. That's how they looked at it. They were like, oh my God, we must have done something for this person to be sent to us from this, and they would sit down with the person. They'll ask them whether their community, whether their tribe, whether they have any issues, or is it that they have wars or famine or whatever. So they never looked at other people as foreigners. So it wasn't in their vocabulary. So it's and this is where what I keep talking about, that you cannot, it's impossible for you to become a Christian, to be a Christian as an African, and at the same time love your history, love your genealogy, love who you are. Because those two things, as they say, it's like water and oil. It doesn't go together, right? You have to put one down and pick one. You can't. They don't walk hand in hand. Try this. Try to whoever you are, try to introduce the issue of your ancestors with your bishop or archbishop, or with your gospel singer brother or sister, and start. Just try it. Just try to introduce the topic and start telling them, hey, you know what? Yeah, I was thinking about my ancestors and stuff. You know what? They won't even let you finish. Oh no! You can't talk about those people. They're dead. They died. Let's not talk about them. They're dead, and we're not going to the same place, because Christians are always concerned with where they're going. This make-believe world of heaven. This is the craziest thing that Christians, I'm talking about Africans, I'm not talking about other people, and I'll talk about why we should be concerned about foreign religions in Africa. Because what these foreign religions did, and they've done is, and they keep doing, is they promise people who believe in them a wonderful future after they die, a wonderful life after they die. And it's crazy, because why would someone tell you about a wonderful life after you die, but they don't want you to have a wonderful life now, to have a successful life now, to have a wonderful life now, right? So a lot of people a lot of Christians think of that, but that goes in line with you hate yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, right, and it's impossible for you. Let me say, listen, as an African, the only way you can love yourself is by accepting who you are fully, not in part. Not in part. You can't say, oh yeah, I love myself. These people created me. Yeah, but I have nothing to do with them, and I don't want to hear anything to do with them. And I keep saying this because there are people who would start saying, and people are saying that, oh yeah, they were not perfect. You know, not everything they did was right. I'm not saying that everything they did was right. That's not what I'm saying. That's not my point. And I'm saying this African spirituality is progressive. There are things which are changing for the better. Right? We are not staying there. We are not stagnant. African spirituality isn't stagnant. Isn't just there. You have to believe this. There's nothing you can do. No, it's not about a belief system. It's not about faith. So you cannot be a Christian without just the fact that you're a black Christian means that you got to do away with your roots. It seems that's the prerequisite. That's what you need to do in order for you to be accepted. To the point that when a lot of our ancestors suffered, they were castigated, they were betrayed by their own brothers and sisters, because once they accepted this newfound religion, now their job was to point out the practitioners of African spiritualism. A lot of them were killed. Let's not forget about that. We act as if this religion, Christianity, has been a peaceful religion. That's the thing. We act. That's how people act as if we accepted this in a peaceful way. There was no peace. A lot of our ancestors were gunned down. They were killed. They were tortured. They were burnt alive. This is history. Now, why did Africans do that to their own brothers and sisters and parents and grandparents and uncles and aunts? Do you see the venom, the hatred? Because it requires you to do that. You must do that. There is no option. But it's very interesting when you speak, when you have a word with the wise men and wise women, because they're there in Africa and outside of Africa. They're there, our spiritual leaders. Not leaders as per se, but the Creator chose them and endowed them with these wonderful gifts, spiritual gifts. It's very interesting. You may call them mediums. You may call them whatever, witch doctors or whatever you want to call them. But if they were to tell you, right? If they were to tell you, they will say to you that they have so many Christian leaders and politicians who go to them at night seeking to be empowered. Now listen to this. They seek, and I have to use this word very loosely, their services. They want them to pray for them. They want them to bless them. These are Christian leaders, right? Who go to the African spiritualist. They go to them at night, hiding, because they do not want their congregation or congregations to know that they're powerless. That's the only reason. Why would a Christian leader choose to go and have a meeting with an African faith healer? What the English will call, they would say, is a witch doctor, or they will call them. They call us, like, when people are involved in black magic and those kind of words, right? Those kind of titles. But we know that these are men and women who are endowed with spiritual gifts, with spiritual powers. The people who keep disturbing them and going to places, to their temples of where they are, or they're visiting them, their altars. They're Christians. They're politicians. They're learned men and women who go to them seeking to be blessed, seeking to have power. And where do they think that this power comes from? It doesn't come from the ether. It doesn't just fall down. They want, at that point, now they want to use their ancestors, and they want to use those powers for their advantage, or to their advantage, but that's not how it works. They forget that that's not how it works. Because a true spiritual leader will not use their powers. They will not use their wisdom, their knowledge to cause any evil. They will not. They will use it to protect themselves, but not to cause any evil. But why do they do that? You just need to type in on YouTube and you'll see a lot of them giving. You'll see a lot of these wonderful men and women stating categorically that preachers, leaders, they go for them, they go to them for help. Why don't they go to their bishops and their archbishops? Because they know there is no power. There's no power there. That's not our domain. Foreign religions is not and will never be our domain as Africans. That's other people's way of looking at things, and whenever we indulge with those kind of in that domain, we'll always be bottom last. Let's not get carried away here. We're talking about you are encouraged. And ask this, and I'll keep asking this. Just ask your pastor. Pastor, can I ask you a question here? It says, what happened to my ancestors? And you see he starts going crazy. What kind of question is that? Why do you want us to talk about? Why do you want to? They will not have an answer. And the answer, if they were to tell you what they're thinking or what they've been taught, oh, we can't talk about them, they're evil people, we can't talk about them. Oh, no. They never accepted Jesus. And I asked someone, because I debate people, I used to ask someone, why do you think they didn't accept Jesus? And they were saying, oh, Jesus, well, I was like, stop going around. Let me tell you why. Because African spirituality predates Jesus. It predates all religions on earth, combined, put together. And there's no question about it. We can't argue about it. African spirituality is the only spirituality that there is. And all other religious systems borrows from us, from our ancestors. We were the first ones to see the sun. We were the first creation. There's no question about that. And every other race comes from us. Every other thing on earth comes from us. So when you lower yourself to a religion that is so young, I was thinking about it today when I was preparing myself in the morning, and I was thinking, there is no even comparison. We cannot compare. We cannot even start comparing African spiritualism and Christianity. There's no comparison. We can't actually. It's not even. It's like night and day. Like life. How do you compare something that is alive and something that is dead? How do you start comparing this? Because we're talking about millions and millions of years where our ancestors are spiritual beings, spiritual people, and a fairly new religion, only thousands of years old, and you want to compare it with a spirituality that is as old as time? How do you compare it? And that's how ridiculous we are as Africans. And that's why every Sunday, Christians go to church every Sunday. They pray for the very things they're praying for, and I can assure you that because I've seen it, I've experienced it. I have seen people praying for their husbands to change. They do not change. They die. I have seen people parents praying for their children to change. They do not change. They perish. Sunday in, Sunday out. You are calling a God that will never hear you, that has never heard you, that has got nothing to do with you, because this God isn't your God. Because this God tells you, in order for you to follow me, you've got to reject, not only reject, but to demonize the very people that brought you here. Or is there a black Christian who will tell me that they came here that the white God brought them here? A white Messiah brought them here? A foreign religion brought them here? No. You are here because of your black, dark-skinned ancestors. your black ancestors. And I'm hoping you're going to click on the video I've done on the We Are One Family. Africa is one big family, is one family, and you do the math to know how we are interconnected we are, and to know that in you are all nations in Africa, because then there were no nations. We were just one plain land, mass of land, and our ancestors knew that this is our land, and we can live wherever we want to live. We can go, we can travel, we can marry from different tribes, as long as we we do what it would normally be required. So this religion tells you, these foreign religions tell you, is it not surprising that there is no foreign religion in Africa that tells that exalts your ancestors, that exalts your history, that uplifts it up, that reveres your history, that celebrates your history, celebrates your roots? There isn't. Why? Because if these religions, led, Christianity being number one, if they are led by them and they celebrate our ancestors, what does that mean to them? What are the implications of doing that? It means, right, that our ancestors were right, and our ancestors cannot be right. It means that our ancestors were godly, and they cannot be godly according to them. It means that our ancestors were civilized, but no, they cannot be civilized. They have to remain uncivilized. They have to remain primitive in their eyes. We came to give them life. Were it not for them, this is ridiculous when I hear people arguing this, that we came to save them. Were it not for us, you would not be alive. They would have all died. Hold your thought there. We would not have died because we existed long before you. Ask any anthropologist, ask any Egyptologist, ask any scientist. Ask them, ask any historian. They'll tell you that we existed before everyone else. So this notion that foreigners came to save us by bringing us a book and a religion, why not for them, who would have all died, it's nonsense. It's nonsense. Because we existed millions and millions and millions of years before they even knew that we were alive, that we existed. Now how can how can you go to save people who've existed millions of years before you? And you've just been here for some few thousand years, and you're like, oh my God, let's go and save them. It's ridiculous. And that's how ridiculous we look, and when you subscribe to the religions, do you see the reason why our answers cannot be right? They cannot be right. They cannot be civilized. They cannot be spiritual. They cannot be upright men and women. They cannot be the men and women of God. So you have to demonize them. Demonize their names. Demonize their culture. Hey, but we're gonna steal their artifacts, We're gonna steal their so-called idols and take them to our museums. Really? You want to take things that were made by evil men and women? By satanic men and women? Come on. Let's not do that. Do you see how ridiculous that is? So, as a black Christian, you are taught again and again the Christian God hates. Requires you to hate your ancestors. Requires you to point a finger at them and say, these were evil people. And then there's a scripture that they throw up. out there when people ask, so what happened to them? Oh, when Jesus died, he went he went to the place of the dead for 3 days, Hades, and he preached the gospel, and if they accepted him, then they were saved, and they didn't accept him, but a lot of them didn't accept him, and they're in hell. My ancestors are not in hell because hell wasn't their concept. Hell isn't an African concept. Heaven isn't an African concept. These are make-believe worlds that these worlds have been brought to us. So our ancestors were not working towards to live a better life in the next life. They were working, and that's why they had do's and don'ts. You could not do certain things. You could do certain things. They ensured that they were doing everything to have a good life here on earth, a good family life with values, right? So guys, tell me, have you ever met a Christian or someone who have subscribed to foreign religions? When they say foreign religions and these are foreign religions in Africa are religions that never came from our ancestors, because our ancestors, the concept of religions wasn't their concept. Their concept was spirituality. So have you ever met them? Spend time with them, whoever they are, whatever religion they're from, and ask them that question. Can I be a member? Can I be a follower of your religion and yet value, and yet uplift, and yet revere, and yet celebrate my ancestors? And the answer will be no. No, you can't do that. If you do that, you'll miss heaven. If you do that, that means Jesus and the Holy Spirit and all this. That's ungodly. It's ungodly to love the very people that made you. The very people whose blood flows through and in you. The very people that cry do you know our ancestors cry, they hope day and night that we look to them, day and night that we involve them in our business. Why? There are many, and many of us are suffering today because we detached ourselves from ourselves. So we feel like we are all alone, but we are not alone. We can never be alone. We have millions and millions of them surrounding us in our corner, ready to help us. Ready, always ready. They transitioned for our sake. They didn't die. What do you mean they're dead? They're dead. Hey, but what about the ancestors of other religious people? Can I ask you a question? Can you tell me a saint? Right? Let's talk about facts. Right? Can you tell me a name of a saint from your tribe in Africa, according to the order of these foreign religions? Tell me a name of a saint from your tribe, from your village, from your town. Is there? But every Sunday people are praying the prayer of Saint Chrysostom. Who is that? A black man? No. That's someone else's ancestor. All these saints that we see, there's someone and we hear about. How many of them are Africans? People say, well, do we even have 1% of them? 1%, not 2. Do we have just 1% of saints who are Africans, who are black? That's for you to do your history and find out. While you are there every day busy demonizing your ancestors, there are people every day they're celebrating them, their own, lifting them up. Even the ones who are killers and kill lots of us, lots of our ancestors, they're still celebrated. They're celebrated as leaders, as warriors, as great men, as great women. But what about us? Oh, no, we can't talk about them. We can't talk about evil people. And you're there as a Christian wondering why. My joy in life, my peace, I started living as an African the day I called on my ancestors. The day I called on my ancestors, that's the day I started living. And I said to them how sorry I was because I had lived my life without involving them. Without involving them. And what I can say is this: it's not that I don't have wars. In life, you're going to have issues, you're going to deal with issues. But I deal with them with a different energy. Different energy. Different energy. And as a Christian, a black Christian, wherever you're from, listening to this, the day you call upon your ancestors and ask them to intervene, to be part of what you're doing, to be part and parcel of this business of life, living, you will experience the changes. You will see things crystal clear. Crystal clear. You'll see things. They start bringing things to you so that you can see exactly what's happening. All the hidden things, everything that is hidden will be brought to, they will bring it to light. They'll bring it to light. Because one of the issues that used to trouble me as a Christian was this issue of my ancestors. And that's why I talk about it and I'll keep talking about it. It used to bother me a lot because I was like, how can I not talk about them? How can I not have a relationship with these people? The very people who give birth to me. My blood is their blood. My features. These features that I have when I look at myself in the mirror. This nose that I have is their nose. The ears that I have is their ears. The eyes. My height comes from them. How can I hate them? How can I demonize them? How can I detach myself from them? Disconnect and say I've got nothing to do with them. I'm a new creation now. I'm a new human being. That's the craziest thing you can think of. If you're a new creation, and I've mentioned this before, what does the doctor ask you about them? Well, is there anyone in your family who's ever has this? Your father? Your grandfather? Your great-grandfather? Why don't you tell them, hey, doctor, please don't ask me these questions because I'm a new creation. The old has passed and the new has come. I'm a new human being. Do not dare ask me about those people. I'm a Christian. And the doctor will look at you and tell you, you're a crazy human being, but let's put the craziness aside. Let's talk about facts here. And he or she will take you down memory lane and teach you and impart that knowledge and tell you, listen, put that nonsense aside. You're here because of these people. And if one of them had a condition, be very careful because that medical condition might be in you. And people today, countless people, talking about Africans, even other races, but let me talk about Africans, have diseases that are genetic. And if you go back, you'll know. They'll tell you, oh, your grandfather had this, your great-grandfather had it, your great-great-grandfather had it, your father had it, and now you have it. It's genetic. Am I saying that it cannot be manipulated and dealt with? That's not what I'm saying. A lot of diseases can be manipulated and dealt with and gotten rid of. It's been proven. But the point is, what I'm doing is that it's drawing that connection, telling you that's and saying it loud that connection is real. So can you be a Christian and love your ancestors? What do you think? You want to introduce that in your Bible study and ask that question? If you're curious, don't start telling them you're listening to this guy, ex-Christian minister who's, just start asking these questions on your own. Just ask, like, in a very friendly way. Hey guys, sorry, I've got a question that has been troubling me. Yeah, this question of my ancestors, what do you think of it? And the pastor will pray for you, because do you know what they'll tell you? You're demon possessed, because they look at them as demons, because that's what they used to call them. They're demons. Their practices are demonic. Right. Brothers and sisters, wherever you are, you cannot afford to point a finger of the very people that love you so much. I'm not saying that loved you, that love you so much that you're the reason why you're here. I thank them every day. I walk with them. I talk to them. They're here. And when I transition, because people ask this, and I'm going to talk about death, because it's very interesting. It's a very interesting topic. Our ancestors understood death in a very, not in the Western or this Christian sort of mindset or Christian way. They had their own way they understood death in their own way. There was nothing like dying, like you're dead, you're gone, that's the end of you. Now you can go and have a good life or whatever. No, but they had a very interesting way of looking at death, and of course looking at living. So we are alive because of them, and we are going back, right, to our roots, whether anyone likes it or whether anyone doesn't like it, because we were here before everyone else. And I say this, and I always say this, we'll be the last ones here. We were the first one to see the sun rise, right? We'll be the last one to see it set. We'll be the last ones. There is no people group on earth that has gone through what we've gone through and remained. We are here because of who we are, because of what we are made of. We are the first beings, the first creation. The being that creates everything, created as humans first. That's a wonderful thing. So we can't, and our ancestors understood this. And those spiritual systems that they had are wonderful, are great. So whatever you're going through, know that as an African, you need to get yourself home. Your problems, your issues will not be solved outside of your home. Don't go. Christianity is a neighbor. Don't go to your neighbor, right, who is thousands and thousands of miles from you, seeking them to intervene to help you in your home. No, the solution is where you are. And where you are is African spirituality. The wise men and wise women have these solutions. They have them. The Creator gave them that. But the more you continue to demonize them, the more you continue to point fingers at them, the more you continue to say no to them, the more you continue to say they are evil people, guess what will happen? The more you'll be going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into issues that you cannot even explain or understand. Why is it that you go to church and you find that there are thousands, people have problems upon problems upon problems upon problems. There are prayer requests upon prayer requests upon prayer requests. Why is it God? Why do Christians have to pray to this God every day, every Sunday? They give this, they give that, and that God never answers. Never answers. Why? Because that's not your God. That's not your system. You're in a different domain. You're in a different kingdom. You're in a different kingdom. And in that kingdom, you're nothing. You'll just be going round and round and round. But in the kingdom of your ancestors, you're home. And they'll take care of you. Your business becomes their business. And their business becomes your business. You become one. You become a team. And now they tell you, okay, sit down. Let us tell you what has been eating you. All my life, part of the reason I'm doing this, part of the reason I'm doing, and I started Holistic African Spirituality, is because of what my ancestors did for me. I had an issue in my life, eating me up. I was going round and round and round, year in, year out, year in, year out, as a church minister. Year in, year out, praying this, meeting people, doing fasting, giving, doing all sorts of things. Having people praying for me. People are praying for me from all over the place. In Africa, in America, in Europe, people are praying for me everywhere. I was still going round and round. No answers, no solution, nothing. Stress, depression, thinking. Things were not working out. I'm like, God, what's happening to me? Crying out to God, but not the God of my ancestors. One day I got tired. I got so tired. Sat at home in the middle of the night. And that day I prayed. Not even prayed, I started talking to my ancestors. And there's some things that happened that I can't talk about because they can only be understood by certain people. If you're really, really deep into African spiritualism, you'll understand what I'm saying. But if you're not, you may not understand, right? But certain things happened, and I was like, I call them, and I say the reason why I was saved is because I called upon them. And I told them, I need you to be involved in my business. I need you, from now on, to be involved. A few weeks down the line, I got a call from someone who told me, listen to this, that they have been troubled, that they've not had peace for weeks and weeks and weeks because they wanted to share with me something about my life. When I went back and counted, it was exactly the time that I asked for my ancestors to be involved in my life. What my ancestors did is they did not give that person peace. was connected to me. And they were like, you need to call him and you need to tell him what has been happening in his life. And so this person called me and asked me, and told me, please sit down. I need you to sit down. I need you to relax. I've got something to tell you. And they said, this news is very, very hard for you to receive, but you need to know this, because I've not had peace for months. For 3 months, this person, 3 good months, this human being felt, she was like, I've had this burden in me that had to, and I wanted to call you because but I didn't know how to do it. I sat down and listened. And as I listened to what she was saying to me, everything about my life made sense. All the prayers, everything, every single, it's like my burden, it's like, the way I can talk about it is like if you're carrying a burden, but it's not physical, but you're heavy. And I felt my ancestors take that burden away from me. And I became light. I could see things crystal clear. I knew exactly what was eating me up. Just like a doctor does a blood test for you, orders your blood test, carries out all these tests, you go for the result, and the doctor lays it down and tells you, this is what is eating you up. You need to stop doing this. You need to stop eating this type of food. You need to stop drinking this. You need to do this. So they tell you what has been eating you up. What's eating us up as Africans, because we are different, a lot of us, is spiritual stuff. There's certain things that are eating us up. And I'm sorry to tell you this. There's no religion. There's no foreign religion or foreign God that can bring healing to you. Why? Because all these gods are very, very young. They're recent. They are recent formulation. But you, what is in you, predates everything. The men and women who are in you, who make up the being of you, they are older as time. So how can another God intervene in it? Intervene in your life? Impossible. So you need the wise men and the wise women. So that's part of the reason why I'm doing this. I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing today. Do I really care what people say? People say a lot of things. Oh, he backslid. He now belongs to the devil. He now belongs to this. But I'm peaceful. But I'm having the time of my life. I am free, right? And I know I'm encouraging people, black Africans from all over the world, that this is not the foreign religions. This is not our answer. No, because we are ancient beings. You need to understand your makeup, right? You are an ancient being. You've got millions and millions of people, if not billions of guys in you, wonderful human beings, wonderful energies. You can't just go, for example, to Christianity. They talk about 2,000 years ago. Well, what is 2,000 years ago versus the time that we as Africans have been here on earth? What are you talking about? That's why Christianity and other religions in Africa is a disaster. It's a disaster. And it continue to be a disaster until you wake up. Until you wake up. I said I was preaching the Christian message without shame. And I'll continue to this is not preaching. This is just waking people up. There's nothing wrong in waking someone up. You've been woken up by people. If you're asleep and they're like, yo, wake up. You wake up. That's for me. That's my calling. That's what I'm doing to Africans, waking Africans up wherever they are. Wake up. And know who you are. And do not demonize those that brought you here. For they want a better life and a good life for you. They want you to fulfill your purpose here on earth. That's what they want. So I wish you all the best. Wish you the very, very best in life. And I wish you that you become alive. And remind you that your answers are not in any other altar, in any building. Your answers to your life, to what you're going through, it's your ancestors have the answer, and they'll set you free. They will set you free, and you'll be free. You'll be a free soul. You'll be a wonderful soul. You'll be a wonderful human being, and you'll be like, oh my God, how did I live? How could I have lived a life without them? But they're loving. They're so welcoming. I will never, ever, ever, ever think evil or ill about them, for they're wonderful. Wish you all the best in life, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're from, wish you peace.